Hey, what's up everybody? It's Luke and you're watching Luke the Gathering. Thanks for checking out the channel. I just got back from Friday Night Magic and this was another Duskmourn draft. I've really loved Duskmourn so far. First draft, 3-0. It was amazing. And then the next draft, I went 0-2 and I dropped. I was like, this deck was pretty good. I had some really nice cards in that deck. I showed people the deck. They thought it was going to do great. But you know what? Sometimes the cards just don't go your way, and it just did not go my way at all last week. It was depressing to say the least, so I'm just going to forget about that one. This week, came back, went 2-1. So, yeah, 2 games, 1 out of 3. So I got 2 prize packs from the store, and I think the deck was decent. Not a great deck, but one that could hold its own. It won very easily against other decks, I guess, of its caliber. But this deck didn't really have any like huge bombs in it. I lost to a deck in the final match that had bomb after bomb. They're the Ghostly Dancers. They had the 5/5 Exiling card. They had the green XX card that manifests all sorts of tokens out. It was crazy. And I was doing all I could to sort of just hold it back, but in the end that deck prevailed really hard, and so I couldn't win against that deck, but I didn't feel bad about it. That just was a superior deck to the one I had. But I was proud of the little guy. I think it did pretty decent, and it's a red-green deck, Gruul. It's a color combination that I'm not a huge fan of typically, but you know, in this set, red-green is pretty strong, and I think it's an underlooked archetype. And there's one card in particular that I really like that surprises people quite a bit, and I'll tell you the card when I get there in the deck, and then I'll show you what we get in these packs as well. Let's turn the camera around and check out the deck. Alright, here's the deck. We're starting out with Terramorphic Expanse. This is obviously a really great card in this format for a number of reasons, but red-green in particular is a Delirium deck, so you're trying to reach Delirium, which means 4 different types of cards in the graveyard. And Terramorphic Expanse, it's a land card that can just dump into the graveyard, and if you have any opening hand, it's so good, because then you already start with that card, and then you get a basic land of whatever you want. It's great. I love this card in this deck. Threats around every corner. This was somewhat of a manifest deck, not a ton of manifest, but this is also sort of a rampy card because whenever you have a face-down permanent come in, you get a basic land card, and you actually put it onto the battlefield, which I think is really powerful. This is a card I sideboarded in later on, Cathartic Parting, especially against the blue-white enchantment deck, so this is a card I left in there. But this was great. I mean, you can get rid of enchantments, put them back in the deck. I mean, yeah, good enchantment removal. I thought it was solid. One of the best red cards without any qualifiers is Scorching Dragonfire. 3 damage for 2 mana and exiles at instant speed. Ticket Booth, Tunnel of Hate, pretty cool. One side you manifest Tread, which is sort of like your first case scenario. And then if you get to the late game, Tunnel of Hate I found to be very strong. It actually won me a game by giving creatures double strike, and those creatures were very difficult to deal with because, you know, red-green, you end up with larger creatures. It's a larger creature deck, unlike, say, red-white, where you're running a bunch of small creatures. These creatures, once you kind of get them going, they are pretty hard to stop. Turn Inside Out. This is another card I subbed in. It's another Manifest Dread card. Can also just increase, you know, your damage output by 3 for only 1 mana at instant speed. Lots of these tricks, especially for a deck that, you know, does a lot of fighting. Beastie Beatdown is great. I was so glad to have 2 of these. With Delirium, you get to put 2+1/+1 counters on the creature as well. That is super strong. It's super powerful, and it removes the creature. And then you go in and you get to smash when you attack. This is another card that I think is just spectacular. Trial of Agony. You choose 2 target creatures controlled by the same opponent. That player chooses one of those. And then Trial of Agony, so it does 5 damage to one of those creatures, and the other one can't block. So good. It's like removal and taking away blocks all in the same card for 1 mana. Such a great card. I love it. And this is a card I was talking about that I think doesn't get enough recognition. Untimely Malfunction. It can destroy a target artifact. Pretty good. It can make 2 target creatures not be able to block, which is also great, especially in more aggressive decks. But the one part in here, the middle one, change the target of target spell or ability with a single target. Like if someone's going to shoot you down with Scorching Dragonfire or murder your creature, you can just play this card and retarget it to one of their creatures, and nobody ever sees this card coming. Nobody does. And this card has done so much work for me. I think it's one of the most underrated cards in the set. I ended up drafting 2 of them, and it worked wonders. Slavering Branch Snapper. I actually drafted 2 of these. It's a 6-drop, but this deck can handle that kind of thing. And if you really need to in a pinch, you can do the Forest Cycling. With Double Strike and Trample, it makes a huge difference. So that's really a powerful effect there. Most Valuable Slayer. This is just a good aggressive card. Yeah. Bashful Beastie, another great card. It's 5 mana, so it's expensive. But, when it dies, it does manifest dread, and it's a 5/4. Very strong. I love Wary Watchdog, especially in the beginning. I named 2 of them. 3/1. If they don't have blockers, they're taking 3 damage, which is, I think, significant. It also surveils when it enters, and when it dies, it surveils. It's a great card. The Centipede, I think a lot of people know about Centipede already. This card helps you get the mana out of your deck that you need. When I have these guys in my hand, I'm feeling pretty good that I'll have the mana that I need pretty soon. The Thresher is also really good. This card can get lands or other cards right into your hand. It's pretty sweet. It's also a 5/4, so it's a big beater for only 3 and a green. Fear of Being Hunted. It's a haste creature. I think this is a good card. This card can surprise people. 4/2 out of nowhere, really. And, it has to be blocked. So sometimes, you make them fight this with a creature you don't want, or they don't want to give up. Flesh Borrower, this is cool. Piggy Bank, also cool. Sorry about that. The phone's going off. But Flesh Borrower, great Death Toucher. Piggy Bank makes a treasure when it dies. That's cool. And my pick 1 pack one was actually Fear of Burning Alive. It's just an uncommon, but this card has been so good for me. I love that it can enter, deal 4 damage to an opponent. That's sweet. And then, if you have Delirium, it also deals 4 to a creature. And, wow, this has made a huge impact. I think it's a great card. I wish I had 2 of them, and only ended up with 1. But like I said, this deck, my best card, which I think is this, was an uncommon. So, you kind of get what you get. But the deck went 2 and 3. I was very proud of the deck and happy with it. So, there you go. Let's check out what we get in the prize packs. Pack number 1. It's pack per win now at the store. So, change things up just a bit. Used to get like a pack for participation, but not so much anymore. I think budgetary reasons and so forth. Insect Token, Baseball Bat, Strangle Cemetery, and our Mythic. We got a Mythic, Funeral Room, and Awakening Hall. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses a life, and you gain a life. Pretty cool. And whenever you lock a door, return all creatures from the graveyard to the battlefield. That costs 8 mana. Okay, and then just kind of looking through the rest of the cards here. There we are. Okay, and let's go to pack number 2. We pulled a Mythic already. This is a Room Mythic. This one has an art card. Ooh, that cool looking eyeball thing. Oculus, I think. Then Liverdie, Swamp, Overlord of the Mistmoors. I've never even seen this card. It's the white impending card. Whenever, let's see. Whenever this thing enters or attacks, create 2/1 insect creature tokens with flying. It's a 6/6. That's pretty good. Pretty good card there. And then the rest is what we got. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you do well in your Duskmourn drafts gameplay. I'll see you next time.